Today is October 7th, 2024. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, you've heard me talk before about Florida's Amendment 4. It's similar to Michigan's Prop 3 from 2 years ago that enshrined abortion rights in the Michigan Constitution. Well, pro-abortion forces are doing the same thing in Florida, but there is somewhat of a caveat, because for Amendment 4 to pass, to enshrine abortion rights in the Florida Constitution, you need a 60% voter approval. In Michigan, all you need is a simple majority, 50% plus one voter. In Florida, you need 60%. So that's a much higher threshold to achieve. And the opinion polls have been coming out last few months. One poll said like 69% was in favor of it. Well, I knew that wasn't going to be the case. Too many conservative voters in Florida to approve it with those margins. But a new poll has come out, said it's under 50% support Amendment 4. Now, on the other hand, the same opinion poll said that 29% are adamantly opposed to Amendment 4. So 29% are these diehard, strong pro-life voters that oppose it. So, and that's way too low too. So, does that mean that the rest are undecided? Well, it's hard to say. But if you break it down by political parties, things change a little bit. Among Democrats, 76% support Amendment 4, which is understandable because the Democratic Party is the party of abortion rights. It's the party of death. Among the GOP voters, 23% support Amendment 4. Remember, Democrats at 76%, among Republicans, only 23% support Amendment 4. But only 48% oppose it. So does that mean the rest are undecided? I don't know what that means, but it sounds like there still are a lot of Florida voters who have not made up their minds on this pro-abortion Amendment 4. Now, in this regard, Governor Ron DeSantis, strong pro-lifer, he and his administration has been publicly making statements encouraging voters to vote against Amendment 4. I mean, he's pro-life. It makes sense that he would oppose it. Just like Governor Whitmer publicly was encouraging people to vote for Proposal 3. So that shouldn't be a big shock. Well, the ACLU went to court to try to silence Ron DeSantis from speaking out publicly against Amendment 4. So much for the First Amendment. Well, the Second Judicial Circuit Court, I'm not even sure if that's a state court or a federal court, but I think it's a state court. But the court ruled that the ACLU could not force or gag or silence the governor from speaking out in his official capacity as governor against a state referendum. So that was good news that Ron DeSantis is going to be able for the next 4 weeks to speak out publicly against Amendment 4. Okay. I just saw this yesterday. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this. Melania Trump, our former First Lady, has just published a memoir, like an autobiography, I guess. And in it, she expresses strong opinions about abortion. And she has come out in favor of abortion rights, which is very disappointing to me. On the other hand, as much as that is disappointing, it's not a real big shock, because Republican First Ladies have historically been pro-choice. Betty Ford, Barbara Bush, Laura Bush, I'm not sure about Pat Nixon. I'm not sure if that was that much of a big issue, or even Nancy Reagan. I'm not really sure where she stood on abortion, but Betty Ford, especially Barbara and Laura Bush, were pro-choice. So Melania Trump just joins these other three former first ladies. So in that regard, it's not earth-shattering, but it is disappointing that especially for the Bush family, George H.W. and George W. Bush were pro-life, at least to a certain extent, but their spouses were definitely pro-abortion. And Betty Ford, Gerald Ford was not very pro-life at all, but she was even more pro-abortion than he was. So, and Donald Trump, historically, when he was a businessman in New York, he was a Democrat. He was in favor of abortion rights. He hobnobbed with the Clintons. So his transformation from being pro-abortion to moderately pro-life, that transition has been very gradual, and I'm not even 100% sure how really strongly pro-life he really is. Although, praise the Lord, he did put in or nominate 3 pro-life justices on the Supreme Court that gave us a reversal of Roe v. Wade with the Dobbs decision. So for that, I'm eternally grateful to Donald Trump. But that's the news from Melania Trump. And the last thing, and I saw this yesterday on Fox News, and I'm going to kind of quote from the headline here. Hillary Clinton says social media companies need to moderate content or we lose total control, unquote. And that's the term that should frighten or terrorize law-abiding American citizens, that Hillary Clinton is saying that if we don't have things going our way, we're going to lose total control, because these social media programs, these podcasts, these people that are sending out lies, disinformation, falsehoods, from her point of view, that the government needs to crack down on these social media influencers. Because if we don't crack down on them, we lose total control. I mean, that sounds like a one world government or a one party rule government, where if you criticize the party in power, you'll go to jail. Or if you criticize the leadership in charge, you're going to be censored. Or if you criticize, you're going to be censored or deplatformed or canceled. This whole cancel culture that we're going through, it's not quite as strong as it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But still, if you say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing to the powers that be, the government needs to step in, stop you from spreading falsehoods, disinformation, because God forbid that a social media influencer is speaking to maybe 1 or 2 million voters and talking about Kamala Harris or Tim Walz or the Democratic Party, and they're espousing a conservative, pro-life, pro-family point of view. If they say things that Hillary Clinton doesn't like, gee whiz, we need to step in, and these social media companies, they need to silence these YouTube podcasters. I'm on YouTube, but I don't have the influence that somebody like a Megyn Kelly has, or Joe Rogan. Of course not. I just have a very minuscule impact on American culture. Very, very microscopic. I'd like to see that change, but it's very microscopic. But she wants total control. And they want to control what the voters get. And in our First Amendment constitutional right of free speech, we should be allowed to get up on that soapbox and talk about the issues of the day and not feel like we're going to be canceled because we're going to say something contrary to the prevailing opinion. We have the right to speak our minds. Whether you're on YouTube or Rumble or Instagram or Facebook, whatever kind of social media, TikTok, whatever platform you're on, you should have the right to speak your mind. And even if you are wrong, you can still, the listeners, the people who are watching your programs, if they don't agree with you, they can just turn it off. They don't have to necessarily agree with everything that's been said. And you don't have to agree with everything I say. But we have, in America, we do have the right of free speech. So I'm kind of belaboring the point here, but when I saw Hillary Clinton say that if these companies are not compelled to moderate content, because if we don't moderate content, then we lose total control. Let that sink in. Hillary Clinton, maybe the Democratic Party, they want total control over what Americans receive on their phones, on their cell phones. They want to control what you see and hear or read. And that is frightening in a democratic society. With that, I'll let you go. I'll see you next time.